Hello my friends, welcome back to another tutorial. I hope you're all keeping very well out there. This week on the channel I'm going to paint a lovely waterfall, but it's a nighttime waterfall with a little bit of a moon in the sky. A very peaceful kind of a painting, very relaxing painting, but I think it's going to look very nice when it's finished and it's going to catch your eye. So we're going to be using just a few colours, mostly blues. White, blue, bit of black, bit of brown maybe, but that's it, just a few colours. So let's see if we can create a lovely painting of a waterfall at night time with the moon in the sky. Nice and simple. Let's just have a bit of fun and let's just have a nice easy tutorial. I hope you learned something from it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't done so, please do, and give the channel a like as well if you can. Thank you so much. Right, let's crack on. Let's have a bit of fun with this. I'm excited to paint this now. Something more relaxed for a change. Okay, nothing too complicated. Couple of nice basic techniques, which I suppose most of you will probably be able to do quite easily. But we'll kind of, we'll try and get it looking really nice. All right, so join me on easy oil painting and let's paint this lovely little landscape. Alright, let's do this, let's have a bit of fun with this. I have a 16 by 12 canvas. I have a palette for some colours. I'll tell you what I'm using today. Titanium white, phthalo blue, lamp black, a little magenta, a little burnt umber and a touch of Naples yellow as well. 16 by 12 canvas, I primed this once and I don't know if you can see a little sketch I put here. So we have, now there is a reference photograph. Now I think that's quite nice. It's subtle, but it's very eye-catching, isn't it? So I just did a quick sketch of some lines of the waterfall coming down, the tree line roughly, and that's it, okay? What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to wet the sky of this with some linseed oil. And now, in that photograph you see there, there was a moon. There was a big moon here, but it was too close. It was too big, it looked completely artificial. So I used my editor just to kind of take the moon out, and I want to make a nice small little moon, just far off in the distance, okay? So this is just a kind of a rough representation of what we're doing. Let's get some more white. I think I might need plenty of white for this. And I'm going to take some linseed oil, okay? Basic, simple artist linseed oil. That's all I'm using, all right, my friends? Take a bit of tissue, and let's just go over the sky very quickly with some of this. All I want to do is oil the surface very lightly, that's all. Just to help the colours soften together very nicely. I go all the way down. Do you know what? Let's go all the way down. You could, if you want, and I was going to do this, you could, if you want, give the entire canvas a tint, a dark blue tint. You could also do that, absolutely. I'm not a huge fan of tinting canvases because that's where it becomes a little more difficult and tricky, because you have a colour underneath. When you're putting colours on, they're going to change. Okay, the colour underneath will come through, they'll change. So it might be a little bit too complicated for some of the new beginners out there. In general, I like to work on just a white canvas. Let's start mixing colour. The sky, I'm just going to put a nice dark blue across the sky. Take a medium flat brush, okay, or a large one if you prefer a large brush. Dampen your brush ever so slightly. Let's go into some phthalo blue and let's take some white. Now, you may need to add more thinners because the white makes it very thick, okay? So a tiny touch of thinners on the corner of your brush. Let's make a nice rich blue. I don't want to go too rich with this, so I'm going to take a tiny touch of magenta just to kind of kick that back ever so slightly and warm it as well at the same time. Just a tiny bit, okay? You could, if you want as well, take a touch of black and then just keep going until you feel you have the colour you want. I want a nice deep blue, but not a cold blue. The little bit of magenta in that will help. Now let's just take a look. Let's start. Okay, we're going to go much darker than that. More blue, more black, plenty of magenta in there. Up at the very top kind of corners, it's it's kind of a blacky blue, isn't it? So let's try this colour. I think that might be a little better, a little more of what we want. So let's go up to the corners with that. I think I need more magenta. I want to warm this slightly with some magenta. It makes all the difference, the magenta. And I'm going to create a halo around the moon as well. And we'll try it. We'll see how we get on. Let's just try it anyway. I'm going to now just go right across here with a nice blue. So I'm going to clean that brush. Not completely. I'm just taking the darkness out of it. Look, that's all. Then we get some phthalo blue, some white, and again some magenta. Let's go around like that. You could just really just give the entire canvas a blue if you want. Okay. Now I'm going to start adding some white into this, just to take the vibrancy back ever so slightly. I normally would use a big brush, but I think it's just a small area. I think this brush will be fine. A bit more white. The white just helping to thicken the colour, really. Now, let's go up and soften that dark corners into the rest of this. Just get it nice and soft. We want a nice darkness up in the top corners. That's all. We could go over this again with more extra dark if we wish. If you want to just keep it simple yourself at home, you can. Please do so. Now, I'm cleaning my brush again, just very quickly. Take the bulk of that colour out. I am going to, let's see. Let's see what we're going to do. I suppose we could start with the moon, or I'm thinking I might want to darken the top corner again, just a touch. A bit more blue and a bit of black. I think it needs a bit of a darker corner, don't it? For me personally, I think a little bit of a darker corner would be nice. Go up there and just bring it down. Add little touches of a bit more blue perhaps, if you want more blue. And then let's just kind of soften it back into the rest of the sky. Now you probably have a much easier way of doing this for your own painting. When you're doing this, you probably have other techniques that you like to use. I'm just going to stick with this technique for now. Just going to keep going, keep softening all of this together. We have trees coming up as well, so that's going to block out a lot of this, isn't it? Soften that back in a bit more. Now, I will take my soft blender brush, soften all of this. I want this really soft. There we go. Now that's a bit better, isn't it? Let's start putting the halo for the moon in. I'm simply going to take some phthalo blue and a bit of white. Okay? And I'm going to start with this colour. Yeah, that's all right. I think I'm going to go with that. Let's pick a point, okay, up on the left. Let's put this nice circle, like so. Now what you want to do is soften this out. So I'm just going to keep going until it softens all the way out into the sky, like so. And then I'm going to take my soft blender brush and just kind of very gently feather that away. Now this is only the first step. You may have to do this a few times. You see what I mean? So you're softening that outwards into your sky. You have a nice sort of a halo going on, don't we? Go around in circles as well if you wish. Now you can go back in and do it again. So you can keep doing this until you have the effect that you want. Okay? Let's just try and get a nice circle. And again, feather that back out just to create that nice halo. So I'm leaving the center as it is, and I'm just flicking around the edge outwards into the sky. Now you notice the paint moves, so you can get used to the way the paint moves on the canvas. merging it together, creating, you know, you can create different shapes and all that kind of thing. Let's just keep going like this, soften it out. Okay, now it's up to you when you want to stop this. It's completely up to you. You might not want to do this, but I'm just trying to sort of create an effect for the sky. That's all it is. So just keep going until you're kind of relatively happy. Now, let's start putting in more of a solid moon up in the sky. Let's just take some white with our brush. There's a tiny bit of blue in this, but that doesn't matter. We just want a bright colour, that's all. Let's start putting in our moon. As I said, I don't want to go for a very big moon up in the sky. I'm not a huge fan of these big, huge moons that you see in photographs. They look very artificial, even though they may be real. For me, they just look a bit too artificial. I prefer a distant moon, way off in the distance like this. Now, again, back to our soft brush, and I'm going to very gently, just barely touching this, soften the edges outwards. Again, I just want to get a very soft edge on this. I don't want a very sharp line, if you know what I mean. Of course you do. I want it nice and soft. Okay, that's not even too bad. Let's go back into our white. Take another little bit of white. Just go around the middle there. It's nice and small. Create a little white circle. Now it's okay if we make little mistakes. You see I made a mistake there, but that's absolutely fine. You can just dab your brush around till you soften it away, like so. So we're getting, you know, brighter and brighter as it goes into the centre of the moon. That's what we want. So you end up with this very bright spot and just in the centre. Look at the corner of the brush. Just take a little bit of white, soften it around inside the middle. Create a tiny little circle. Now I think that's absolutely fine. That's all we need to do. Let's carry on. The next job I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill all this in. Okay, let's get a bigger brush. I'm going to get my bigger brush here, and now my brush has gone quite hard and firm. It's not the best, so I might switch. I might go to a fairly newish kind of a brush. Soft synthetic brushes, that's what I use. Okay, now let's just make a nice colour. Come on, let's go dark again. It's similar to the sky. Phaylo blue, bit of lamp black, tiny bit of white, just to thicken the colour up. That's the only reason I'm going into white, is to make it nice and thick. A little bit of magenta again. So we have very similar colours. That's it. Okay? No, that's absolutely fine. I just want to darken all this. You could go through your waterfall as well. We can still pick out the waterfall later on, okay? So don't worry about that. Let's just make all of this completely dark. Go down here, add a bit of blue, perhaps. You can see I'm using a very thin colour. It's not very thick, okay? I'm not going in there with lots of thick colour. I just want to darken the canvas. Again, I suppose you could call this tinting the canvas, couldn't you? Realistically, you could. If you want to tint your canvas completely in one colour, you can, but it will be a little bit more on the tricky side when it comes to colours, you see. That's the only thing. Now let's just go up along, create the angle of that waterfall here. And then we have some trees, don't we? And the trees have a bit of a mist to them as well. So I need to get more phthalo blue on my palette, okay, just so I don't run out. It's getting quite low. Let's just mix a nice colour. Let's get some phthalo blue, some magenta, a little bit of burnt umber, I feel, and a little bit of white. The burnt umber, it just gives it a more of a greeny hue. Now you see that kind of greeny shade, we have a very dull kind of a green. Let's start putting in the suggestion of some trees. The edge of the waterfall here. Now what will happen is this will start softening into the sky, and it will kind of naturally lighten and give lovely soft effects for these row of trees up here. Now I am going quite light with this first to begin with, just to show you. We have a nice another one coming across over on top of the waterfall here. I'm just using my flat brush very randomly, creating these lovely trees. I generally tend to start with the lighter colours first, you know, so these kind of distant shades, I tend to start with these first and then go darker last. Okay, then we start going into some darker colour. Phaylo blue, bit of black, bit of brown even. Get a nice rich dark colour. Bit more brown, bit more phthalo blue. Then we can start going nice and dark. And you see the burnt umber in this mix, it just makes a beautiful kind of a greeny, dark greeny bluey colour, which is lovely for trees and things like that. So it gives you the impression that there's still a bit of a greenery going on, even though it's night time. Let's go up here and put a nice dark one up here like that. You can hear my canvas there rattling. There's something behind my easel rattling against the easel as I do this. I hope it's not coming across on camera. Quite annoying. I hope not. There we go. Bringing those trees down. Over here again, a bit of burnt umber with black. Just add a bit of a darker shade into these as they come down. Now we're coming down into the sides. I want to go very dark for the sides. It's almost a black, isn't it? Let's get some black and phthalo blue. Lots of that colour together. Bit of burnt umber. Let's start picking out the shape of the waterfall. So I'm going to say around here. Okay. So get the line of the waterfall first. That's all we need to do. Then we have a piece in the middle, don't we? It comes up and it comes down like that and stops. And we come over to the other side and go around here. So again, we're going darker with the shade, just going from light into a dark. That's what we're doing, isn't it? Really, essentially, that's what we're doing. So already we have the shape of the water picked out, you see. Isn't that nice? Then we come down here, it gets just very dark down here, doesn't it? And we need a bit more blue in our painting. I think we need a lot more blue here and there, because when I start putting on my whites later on, all of this blue is going to show through. So even though this might look very black to you, there's a lot of rich blue in the background colour. The background shade is going to be very bluey. So that's when it'll make sense. When we start putting on the whites over this wet bluey paint, that's when you'll start to see the light coming out through the blue. So a little bit there, just popping it in here and there, that's all I'm doing. Now we start putting in the shapes of our trees. So with this dark colour, we could go up and just go like that, look. Mix plenty of this dark colour, and we go with some of the darks first. So what's happening is we have trees in the shadow, but you can still make out some of the highlights of them, if you know what I mean. You can still see some of the highlights. Now I'll be putting highlights on in just a moment, but I'm just going along with this very dark blacky blue colour first to pick out some of the kind of really darker sections. Bit of black even in here, look, just black on its own. And the nice thing about working wet into wet is this black will kind of soften through with all the other colours. And you can even make it out there again, just a little bit. You'll see the black will soften as you use it. As it's going up into the trees, you see, it's softening itself. And that's why I love working wet into wet with painting, because you get so many different shades of colours coming out. This just seems to turn into a very black mass over here, doesn't it? Let's take a bit of black and just dab a bit of black in there. Just very quickly, no particular direction in any of this. Okay, next I'm going to just clean the tip of the brush. I'm not washing it, I'm just cleaning the tip of it. I'm going to get some Phaylo blue, a little bit of white, a bit of burnt umber, and with that slightly lighter shade, I want to pick out some lights. So you see now, as we go down into the darker colour, you can really begin to see it show. Because we're going on to a very dark colour, this very dull blue will start picking out the highlights. You see what I mean? I'm just being very random, creating different types of bushes and all that kind of thing, okay? And at the end of the day, it's just a suggestion. I just want to create a suggestion that there's kind of very distant, you see very distant bushes in the darkness. That's the type of effect I'm trying to get at. We can do a couple over here as well, coming into these. They'll probably just disappear down into the darkness over on this side. So maybe a bit more blue, a bit of white, and just one or two catching the sun, or not the sun, the moon rather. Just one or two catching the moonlight here and there. And I think that's okay. I'm okay with that. Now I want to catch some brightness up around here. I'm going to really go for a very bright colour. So a very luminous blue. Some Phaylo blue and some white. Okay. And let me just try this. I just want to see if I can catch a few highlights. Just clean the brush very quickly. Just one or two tiny bits catching here and there. Couple catching over here. Okay, they're just catching the moonlight, that's all. Don't overdo it, just a little bit. Now that's probably absolutely fine. That's probably fine, just fine. I think it's time for the water. Look, there's many different ways we can do water. Many different ways. We could use this brush perhaps. We could also use like a simple fan brush as well. Maybe later on we might try this. We can use a palette knife as well. You know, we've lots of different tools we can use to create this type of water. I'm thinking maybe a fan brush first. I think we'll try a fan brush first. Let's get some white and a bit of Phaylo blue. I don't want to use pure white, not just yet. I want to go for a rich blue and put loads of that on your brush, okay? Let's try it. Come down like this and then turn and lift off, okay? Let's try that again. Now, even though I'm using a very rich blue colour, it looks very whitey, doesn't it? That's because everything else behind it is so dark. Let's try this again. Let's try a small one here. And go to the centre and then pull it down and lift off. Not bad, is it? We can do another one just in here as it turns and comes down. A kind of a narrow, thin little one on its own. So you can practice all of this at home as well. Now, even halfway down, you will get, you see the little bits coming out. So you'll have a little bit coming out like that and falling down. Like so. Small little bits. Let's go over to the other side. Let's try this on the other side. Again, a bit of blue, a little bit of white. It's probably easier to start with a darker colour first anyway. And let's just go a nice little one like this. And we've only a couple of small kind of ones coming down, don't we? Get a bit more blue. This is all just kind of trial and error sort of a thing. So as it comes down, maybe it gets a little bit darker as it comes down towards the end. There's a couple along inside here, just along the bottom. Let's make this a little bit narrower, just here. Now, down towards the end, you see this rich dark blue that I have here? I'm just going to take that and start swishing it around, look. Create a lovely mist. Just along the base. Take some more of that. A little bit of phthalo blue, a little bit of white. Leave it feather off into the distance, up into these trees as well, look. Around in circles, leave it soften away. I'm then going to start flicking this out from the centre outwards and leave it soften away. So far, looks quite nice, doesn't it? For a nice kind of an easy tutorial, I think this is just right. Let's go over here and get a bit more blue now, a bit richer and a bit darker. Look, there we go. As it goes into the shadows, it's going to get a bit darker, isn't it? As it goes off over here into the shadows, the blue gets deeper and darker. We'll try the same over here. Bit of blue up into the trees, leave it disappear. But I'm not, you see the way I'm not leaving it blend completely. I'm still leaving little shapes on there, just little small shapes. Okay, now we start going a bit brighter. Phthalo blue and a bit more white this time. We need to start getting just that bit brighter around the centre. You see just there? Leave that soften away. Now, I'm just going to soften side to side here with this, just very, very quickly, very loosely. And there's something very mystic and mysterious about this, isn't there? Now, one thing I need to do is I want to soften the water ever so slightly with my soft brush. I don't want it all very sort of sharp and crisp, okay? I want this kind of almost softening into the background slightly, just ever so slightly, that's all. And we can come down here and soften some of this back in to create that lovely mist for the trees. Then we can start putting in maybe a nice bright hint of white here and there. So let's take just a bit of white, okay, there's a little bit of blue on this, but it's fine. And just here and there, you see how I'm just kind of catching the light. Here and there, just a little bit. You see that? Maybe a little bit here and there. And then right around the centre we have this nice bright spot, don't we? Let's just pop that in there and just leave it disappear again. Around in little circles, just small circles, swishing it around. I'm barely touching the canvas now at this stage, okay? Just barely touching it. Let's try something with the palette knife perhaps. Just, you know, let's just have a bit of fun. Come on, get a bit of white on our palette knives. Let's go up here. Creating a little bit of light, okay? Just that tiny bit of texture just on top. Why not? Come on, it's all in the name of fun, isn't it? I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think we need to do any more with that. Let's just work on a little bit of detail up here. Okay, bit of brown, bit of black. Let's just make that a little bit stronger. Soften it down. Then we add a bit of light onto that. A little bit of that blue colour. A little bit of light up there. Okay. Just something like that is absolutely fine. Now, realistically, you could call this finished. Is there much more we need to do? I don't think so. I might just maybe brighten it down here. And I didn't even need my Naples yellow. If you wanted to put a bit of a glow into this, okay, I'll show you what I would do with Naples yellow. So if you wanted a small little bit of a glow, just take a little Naples yellow and a little bit of white, okay? The Naples yellow gives you that very bright white kind of feeling. You see that? That's what Naples yellow does. It just gives the white that very bright feeling, but only a little bit of it is enough. That's all you need, the tiniest little bit. Okay? That's all you need. That's what it does. It just helps lift the white, gives it that bit of a lift. And I would even go so far as to put a little Naples yellow and white on the moon. Okay? A little bit of white, a little bit of Naples yellow, and a tiny dab in the center there. Immediately it pops. It just pops out. So my friends, I am finished. I don't see any reason to continue on with this since we have it at the stage where I think it's quite nice. Let's just soften it out, maybe just a little bit here and there. And we have a nice little moonlit waterfall at night time, which I think looks quite eye-catching. A nice white frame around this, I think that will catch someone's eye straight away, don't you? And there we go. So my friends, I hope you have found this helpful. I really do. Let me just fix this stand there so you can see me, and the exposure has gone all bright on camera, isn't it? Oh, that's very bright, isn't it? It has an automatic exposure, which for some reason it goes very bright and changes. I have to try and, it's a very confusing camera to use. It's a Sony EZ something, I think it is, but it's very difficult to set a particular exposure and keep it at that. It just changes itself. But look, there we go. I'm quite happy with that. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, give me a like, subscribe. Any questions, just feel free to ask, okay? That's very nice. I'm happy with that. It's just a really eye-catching little painting, isn't it? And you could see we only used 4 colours and 2 or 3 different brushes, that's all. So have a go and see what you make of it, okay? In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back very soon with a tutorial. I'm in between 2 different types of videos at the moment, so I'm not sure which one to do, but you'll find out very soon. Thank you so much, and God bless.